guys, and welcome to another episode of Wieder Nation. For today's agenda, we have Max Wieder, CEO and co-founder of Celcy, the company building personal kitchen robots that remotely cooks meals to perfection. So, welcome, Max. Super happy to have you here. Super excited to get to hear your experience.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
How did you actually start at Celcy?
Essentially came up with the concept, I said about 5 years ago. Our friend's oven died, and it was basically us getting tired of listening to him do his due diligence of, do I get this oven with Wi-Fi? Do I get this one with a temperature probe, specialized pizza drawer? And we just got tired of it. So we started, I'll get the one that has, an app, and get the one that has a refrigerator and a meal service and all the bells and whistles. And we kind of all had that pause, aha moment where we said, oh, this is a fantastic product. We can make this. And we did our due diligence on the internet, and we found nothing like it existed. We whiteboarded it. We have, between the three of us, we had 6 degrees from Hopkins. So we, all engineering. And so we designed it in a single weekend on a whiteboard, and 5 years later, here we are.
On a single weekend?
Yes.
I had no idea. This is really exciting. And what do you think it's the key differentiator at Celcy?
Yeah, so the biggest differentiator is we're the first IoT kitchen appliance, Internet of Things. Everyone out there, they use the word smart, they attach Wi-Fi and sensors and things like that. But what good's a sensor if then you have to walk up to the thing and use it? So we're the first completely hands-off kitchen appliance that, from loading your food in the fridge to taking a hot meal out of the oven, does not require you to be physically present.
Really interesting. And can you talk a little bit about what progress has been made?
Yeah, so from that whiteboard concept, the first next step was proving it worked. So we actually built a Frankenstein type device where we took a freezer and a toaster oven and hacked them together and made it work. Then we moved to individual tabletop testing of making things work. And last summer, we actually built our first 5 alpha unit, which were production representative. And then from that point, we've been working towards design for manufacturing. We'll have our first beta unit done by the end of this year. We launched beta pre-sales in July and sold out within a month. We are launching a phase 2 shortly, so you can go to our website, celcy.com, and sign up to be a beta tester. And those beta tests are looking to start in the late spring of next year.
Wow, so exciting news. And talking about challenges, what would you say it has been the biggest challenge? Technical challenge, and maybe since you are also the co-founder, talking on the business side, what would you say it has been the biggest challenge there as well?
So the technical side, surprisingly, has not been that challenging for us. So as I mentioned, we have a lot of engineering experience on our team. Our extended team includes 2 engineers that we pulled out of retirement. So between the 2 of them, they have almost 90 years of experience in electrical design and manufacturing and machining. Designing the product has been relatively easy. They come from a lot of government type backgrounds, so trying to do things at a cost affordable rate has been the most technically challenging, to make sure that we still have a product that is affordable. So that's mostly the technical side difficulties. On the business side, we're a hardware startup, and it's never good to be a hardware startup in the startup realm, especially then when you add consumer to that. And then the fact that we're almost creating a new a market.
Do you remember your first experience with investors?
We started with a friends and family round 5 years ago, and that was eye-opening, I would say. We were just trying to raise $55,000 through friends and family, and it took 6 to 9 months talking to friends and family. Like, there were plenty of people that said, "I love the idea, but $5,000 here is a lot to just a normal person." Before we even went to them, we had bootstrapped as much as we could, doing that Franken device and building up the due diligence to even go out to talk to these people. And the primary use of that funding was to start our patent. And it took 4 years, but we're fully patented. We have the patent on IoT kitchen appliances, basically, on that utility. So that first interaction was very eye-opening, in the sense of, if it took me that long and that much work to get friends and family to give us money, I just knew that once I went into the actual angel space and venture capital space, it was going to be much more difficult. And I've talked to hundreds of angels and VCs. I've pitched dozens of times. It is quite difficult.
Yeah, it sounds quite difficult. But at the end of the day, here we are, like 5 years later. I mean, you have your product, you have your company, you have your team.
Mm-hmm.
How many people do you actually start a company with, and how many people do you have guys now?
We actually have 0 full-time people. I work, my entire team, except for the retired team, work full-time jobs. Even the retired team have jobs that they work on top of that to pay our bills, because as I said, raising capital is hard. So we have to bootstrap all this in our spare time. So my wife loves that I work 2 full-time jobs, essentially. I actually probably put more hours into Celcy than my full-time job. So probably close to 100 hours a week between the two, 7 days a week working on them. I'm eager and excited to go full time on Celcy, but you have to pay the bills, so that's why you still have a job. But we're raising capital right now as we march towards our beta testing in spring. We will actually have beta units out with some consumers in the late winter of next year, that we'll start getting that direct feedback from them and getting that usage, which is something that the investors have repeated that they really want to see. So we'll get there.
You'll get there, I'm pretty sure. I mean, you have the product, you have the strategy, you have the experience. I mean, you're an engineer, so what could be wrong, right? And next thing that I wanted to ask you is, like, what do you say it's next for Celcy? Talking about expanding or maybe launching a new product.
We have a nice extensive roadmap of what we want to do, but step one is getting our product out to the people who are eager to use it. So our beta experience that we sold, people put money down because they wanted to use this product, and our goal is to get them that product as soon as possible. Once that happens, we're then start marching towards actual production, getting the unit out to the masses, as well as expanding our food demographic. So as I mentioned, we're taking a very Keurig Nespresso type approach to the food. So it's not just going to be our food, but we already have a couple food brands that are in the sidelines ready to join us once we start getting consumers using our product.
And was it hard in order for you to find the product market fit?
Yes, but not the way you think. The problem is that our product solves a lot of problems. There's a ton of people that every time I talk to them, the initial market that I say we're going to, they're like, but I could use it this way. So, we're initially targeting, your kind of tech savvy millennial, these are people that work crazy hours, 7 days a week, and, they don't have time to cook. They want healthy options, and they can't really afford to eat out every single meal. And that's kind of the perfect segment that we're going after initially. But to that end, people who are aging in place, so adults with aging parents who need to take care of the parent, where they're going to the grocery store and going over to their house and cooking for them, or they're worried about them leaving the oven on. This is a great alternative to augment that, where instead of having to get them a personal caregiver, you can use this, and we can partner with the food brands that go with that aging in place. We've also talked to multiple businesses. We've talked to hotels. We've talked to colleges. There's a whole world of opportunities for this, but it was kind of narrowing to that essentially tech savvy millennial that was the more difficult part of saying, what market do we want to focus on?
And I don't know, I mean, I'm not the co-founder or the CEO, but maybe I'm thinking maybe these changes over the time, like you will narrow to some kind of audience or some kind of clients, and at the end of the day, it might changes a little bit as the world does as well, right?
Yeah, it's about embracing it. If you look at Segways, for example, when Segway came to market, they had their vision of what this was going to be, and they put all their marketing into that area. But where do you see Segways now? On tour guides, like guided tours. The problem is that they didn't embrace that shift, and you can't get Segways anymore. Now there's other companies that have different brands, but Segway as a brand does not exist. So you have to be able to pivot. If when you're launching and you're finding that this market segment's what's blowing up, but you thought it was A, you pivot and focus on B, because they're the people who want your product.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. And last but not least, can you tell me something that no one knows yet about Celcy? Maybe some news to come or some announcement?
Okay, I mean, we have some things in the pipeline, but I don't want to dig too much into them. But I've kind of hinted at we have our beta coming at the end of this calendar year, our first beta unit. Our biggest announcement happened last week, where we showed off for the first time our integration with Amazon's Alexa. So during our live pitch, we were able to ask Alexa to bake us some cookies, and the device in the back of the room started baking some cookies.
Amazing! Do you have a video of that?
There is a video out there. I'm pretty sure my marketing team is going to be displaying that soon.
We'll make sure to share that as well in the podcast. This is amazing. Okay. One of the last, I think actually this is the last question. What advice would you give to the future entrepreneurs starting on this path?
Don't do hardware and don't do consumer. No, the world of startups and entrepreneurship sounds glamorous, but it is a grind. And you have to be fully committed. And you have to have the right team. Me and my co-founder have been friends since college. He actually was the officiant at my wife and my wedding. We're good friends, and some people say like don't go into business with a good friend because it'll destroy the friendship, but it hasn't. At least not yet. I don't know. But it's hard. There's a lot of decisions you have to make, and you also have to make sure you have your priorities right. My first and foremost is family. As much as I work, as I said, like 100 hours a week, family's first, and I make sure I have a dedicated day per week that is family time only. And if there's a conflict between something, I make sure someone else can cover it so I can be with my family.
One of the best advice you could ever give to any co-founder, to any entrepreneur, to any engineer. I think family is first. That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. Really human advice. And okay, well, thank you so much, Max, for taking the time, for being here, for sharing your experiences. Do you have any social media handles? Where can people find you, or where can people find Celcy?
Yeah, we are Celcy Life on all the different platforms. So at Celcy Life for Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And remember, guys, that you can also find more information, interesting articles, interesting interviews, just like this one with Max, directly on our website, ControlHub.com/builder-nation. We would love to hear from you. And once again, Max, thank you so much. I highly appreciate
you for having
the time
me
and sharing, everything.